Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And I had so much stuff I wanted to talk about, it ended up being stretched over 3 videos. And everything I'm showing you is this right here. All roads lead to XRP. And it's true. Every single place you look, Ripple has rails now. And it's all around the world. And that's what I've been stressing in the last couple of videos. Ripple's Monica Long at the Newcomer Banking Summit 2024. The topics are the collapse of crypto-friendly banks, regulatory clarity in the US, and her journey at Ripple, tokenized T-bills as well. Now I'm just going to play a short part of this. Take a listen to what she has to say.
Of significance, of the 3 banks that were kind of the first to fall over, the 3 S's, Silvergate and Signature Bank in the world. So Ripple's in the cryptocurrency blockchain space. And so those 2 banks in particular were very systemically important to the cryptocurrency ecosystem. It was commonly the 2 ways to get connect the US dollar system into the crypto ecosystem. So it had a pretty consequential effect on the whole crypto world and ecosystem. Flash forward to 2024, where we are today, there haven't really been other US banks who have leaned into being a transaction bank of record to different crypto companies. So I think there's an overhang of risk aversion, I would say, and I think that also is somewhat an after effect of the fraud and activity related to FTX and Binance.
What happened is this. Those 3 banks had to fall because they were tied to crypto. However, JP Morgan is also involved with crypto. Why did JP Morgan fall? Because JP Morgan leads the way for all the other banks. They were clearing the path for JP Morgan. That's what I always thought was happening with those 3 banks. And the reason no other banks want to get involved with crypto is because we don't have regulatory clarity. We don't have regulations put in place yet. HSBC continues to invest in its tokenization product lineup. The bank's CEO stated that he's very comfortable with the concept of tokenization. So we could see more expansion come from HSBC over time towards tokenization. And I've been saying that's going to play a very big factor later this year. Citibank tokenized total addressable market in 2030, $268 trillion, of which 6.2% could be tokenized. Larry Fink, BlackRock, tokenization is the future of the next generation. And people downplay tokenization as well. You know, inside the crypto space, we have retail investors, and everybody wants to get rich tomorrow. But if you look at the long-term gains you could get by just sitting back and holding crypto, it leads to you getting wealthy. Not rich, but wealthy. Ripple president spotlights crypto impact in Latin America. Now, she's saying that Latin America, with Brazil, can rapidly emerge as a key crypto hub. Now, we know Ripple and Brazil have been working together for a while. Brazil is also part of the BRICS as well. And everywhere else around the world, but here in the US, we see crypto hubs emerging all the time. That's why regulations are so important for the United States. Ripple's president, Monica Long, she's been very vocal lately, by the way, on the Marco perspective of this cycle. Take a listen.
But if we zoom out, what's exciting to me is over the longer arc of time, we're seeing growth and maturity in Web3. And I think a lot of that, and what's really exciting about this latest cycle to me, is real institutional adoption. If you think about it, some of the biggest brands in financial services like Goldman and BlackRock and Fidelity, they actually built their products and offerings in bear markets, meaning they see the bigger picture at hand. So I think that's what's going to be really different about this year is the institutional embrace and
Take notice, she's already talking about institutional adoption of crypto. And I like the fact that she's once again talking about Web3 as well, because that's going to start to make a huge comeback over the coming months. And, you know, we as retail investors, like I always tell you, need to look to the future, because that's where we will start to get very wealthy over time. New York Fed says quantitative tightening could stop in 2025. So now they're saying it's going to take until next year for them to get a grasp on the inflation. And, you know, they're also the ones that cause the same inflation that they're trying to fight. It makes no sense. The IMF warned Tuesday that America's recent economic performance is partially the result of the country's unsustainable fiscal practices, creating risk for the global economy. Now the IMF is starting to take notice as well, and we know this is not sustainable. The exceptional recent performance of the United States is certainly impressive and a major driver of global growth, but it reflects strong demand factors as well, including a fiscal stance that is out of line with long-term fiscal sustainability. You cannot continue to spend money while you're in a massive amount of debt, and that's what's going on inside the United States right now. And eventually something is going to break. And I talk about that all the time. And people think like you're crazy. Oh, the US has never been stronger. It's like, okay, what major news outlet are you watching? Where are you getting your bullshit from? We know better. We are living with the same inflation that they keep telling us is dropping over time. Then all of a sudden they come out and they say, oh, inflation jumped up 1 point. When we know better, it's all bullshit numbers that they could sell to the American people. Citi might be next to go away. JP Morgan is best in breed. Take a listen to this.
A little bit of a pet theory that the Fed likes to see one of these big investment banks kind of move on or go away once every 5 or 10 years. And, you know, recently we had Credit Suisse, and before that we've had some others, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, et cetera. I think Citi might be next. I think Citi is
to go away.
To go away. I think this has just been, it's not a well-run business. And a lot of these investment banks aren't that well run. They're just in a position where they've made so much money for so long, it's hard for them to mess it up. And somehow they find a way, as we've seen with Bear Stearns and Lehman and Credit Suisse. And I think Citi's the next of the big investment banks that we won't have around in probably 5 or 10 years. It's the cheapest. It's the least profitable. And I don't know. I don't know that it really ever completes a turnaround.
I think he's totally wrong. I think what's going to save Citi is RippleNet technology and XRP. But what they're actually telling you there is that JP Morgan is going to be one of the last banks standing. And everything's going to get consolidated. I'm still waiting to see that start to happen once again this year. And I think the timing isn't right yet. Once they need an excuse, all of a sudden, we're going to see a multitude of banks start to fall apart. And they're going to get swallowed up by the much bigger banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, etc. Because it has to happen. Because it's easier to take a handful of banks and attach them to CBDCs than it is to take a whole pile of banks and try to connect them to CBDC. Fox Business discusses the possibility of bail-ins happening in the United States. Take a listen.
Seems almost to be going broke. I want to bring in now Walzer Wealth Management President Rebecca Walzer. You know, Rebecca, you can say that now multiplied by many times, but we just don't seem to care. At least back then, someone was paying attention and someone did care.
You know, that Canadian clip is so scary because that really could happen in America. The Federal Reserve has already talked about potentially a bail-in. They will not bail the banks out again, Charles. If anything happens, money could be frozen and clients will be locked out.
Do you believe that, though?
No, I don't believe that that would happen.
No, do you believe they won't bail the banks out? Two things. You've got the Federal Reserve, which really is a bank for the wealthy.
Right.
I mean, it's a bank for the banks and a bank for the wealthy. That's who they work for. They don't work for the U.S. for citizens. It's time people understood that.
I'm so glad you said this because so many people think that because we're the world reserve currency that we have to bail out the dollar, that we won't let our system collapse. What they don't understand is what the BRICS nations are doing to basically do cross-border payment transactions in local currencies without a reserve alternative to the dollar. So, yes, I believe with the amount of deficits that we're running, that we just seem to carte blanche. We're not in a war right now directly. We're not in a pandemic, and yet we're still getting a $7.3 trillion budget proposal from this administration.
I'm going to explain to you exactly what she's saying. She's saying the current financial system is falling apart. Countries are coming for the US dollar. And a lot of people have bail-ins mixed up. Bail-ins, a lot of people believe it's any money above the $250,000 that the FDIC insures. But the FDIC cannot even bail out you if you hold $250,000 at the bank, if a multitude of banks fall at the same time. In other words, say 5 banks were to collapse out right now. The FDIC cannot cover all of your money. So your money will end up getting bailed in. That's what's going to happen. When they're talking about bail-ins, that's what's coming. The same way that she knows the current financial system is also going down. And take notice how she talked about cross-border payments as well, without using the US dollar. And the clip she was talking about right here. This happened in Canada. They refused to allow a man to withdraw his money. And he was only trying to take out $3,000, which is the daily limit. Wait until the banks here in the United States start to do this as well. All of a sudden, what right now people call bullshit will all of a sudden become a reality. And I think this is definitely coming in the United States. It's just a matter of time. American totalitarian crypto dollar may come before the election. Like I've been saying, they're pushing towards this already. This is why I believe a CBDC might be rolled out in the United States before the 2024 presidential election. President Biden has authorized the exploration of a CBDC, and there isn't any real resistance in Congress. On March 9, 2022, Biden signed Executive Order 14067. I talked about that a lot on this channel when I made Great Reset videos. This executive order places the highest urgency on research and development efforts into the potential design and deployment operations of a U.S. CBDC. It also calls for a whole of government approach to regulating digital assets. Look at what they're doing right now, trying to fast track a stablecoin bill. As you will see in a section below, the technology for US CBDC has already been developed. Like I've been saying, the Fed was working on this in the background while you were being distracted by the mainstream media news and the big events of the day, the big catastrophes that were happening on a daily basis. This is what you were being distracted from. And I really do believe they're going to try to fast track this before the next election. And once they get this in place, that's it. Once people start using this, that's going to be it. And how are they going to get people to use this? They're going to tie it most likely to the Social Security system and the welfare system first. And they're also going to call it Universal Basic Income. And then as people start losing their jobs to AI, more and more people will end up on UBI. More and more people will be using CBDC. It's the same reason I'm always urging you to keep your crypto safe. Hold on to your XRP for dear life. You need to enrich yourself as this happens. This way, maybe you could avoid this system in the future. And I've said it multiple times because I honestly think XRP is the only thing that can keep us off of a CBDC. Because XRP is going to be worth more than any one country's CBDC. We are holding the technology that's going to move CBDC from one country to another. It has to be very high valued. All you got to do is nothing. Just stay patient until it happens. I say that all the time. I say it at the end of every single video because I want you to be able to break free from this. And hopefully something else happens first and we don't see a CBDC. I still think we need privacy laws ahead of a CBDC. But right now, that stablecoin bill is the first step towards this. That's what I honestly think. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.